Sally, and I'm a classroom music teacher at All Hallows School in Brisbane, which is a Catholic girls' school, years 5 to 12. And this year I'm teaching year 5, year 6, year 8, year 10, and year 12 music extension. So the move to online learning has been quite hardcore for all of us. But I've felt it quite a lot because I feel like there's quite a lot of diversity of what I've got to do in my day job, and trying to find ways that will engage everybody in a meaningful way. That's been kind of my struggle, as it were. I don't know about you, but when we did the move to online learning, our school is a Microsoft school. Actually, I might start to do my little sharing thing if I can find my little buttons again. So we're a Microsoft school. So we've been using extensively, look, here's my little thing. Hopefully, is that coming up? Can you see my screen? Yes, yay, thank you. So we're a Microsoft school. We've been using OneNote, but you know, there's loads of platforms out there that you might be using. And what I'm just going to show you today is a little bit about what I've been doing and some of the tips and tricks that I've picked up in my 2.5 weeks of online learning, as you all have. And if you've got some great ideas, that'd be helpful too. So I thought I might talk a little bit about some of our structures and strategies for online learning that we're doing at All Hallows, and then some of our strategies to manage our planning, our monitoring and tracking using the various platforms, and some video attempts that I've made using Screencast-O-Matic and iMovie. And I just put this picture in because that's my classroom last week. And I was in there doing a little live stream, and it's got an email if you need anything. So one of the things that we started pretty early on was the school started looking at the framework for what is it that we're hoping to achieve with our online learning. And so this is actually not mine, this is set by the school, that we wanted to make sure that our online lessons had 5 stages. And so everybody in the school has been asked to use these same 5 stages with these purposes. So our learning intentions, and including our strategies, you can see there, having a check-in because we need to make sure that we know who's actually attending our lessons. So we have a check-in page, a way of everybody finding what the learning instruction is and how to do it, then the actual activity, and then a way of checking back at the end for understanding. What we wanted to avoid was having, you know, look, I've got 30 year 5 girls and I've got 30 year 6 girls, and having them email me during the lesson is just crazy. So we're looking at ways of doing that. So the school set up a series of templates, and I thought I would try to show you these templates just now.
Okay, I found this on the web.
Siri's decided to talk at me. How good is that? But so this is the template that they set up. And the really cool thing is that we've set up within our particular platform the exact tab that the students need to go to. It's named the same in every subject area, which I found a little bit restrictive in the beginning, having a format set on me, but actually it's worked really well. So we've got our little template here that the students, I fill in for my lesson, and the students come here each lesson and they click on it, and then they're able to do follow the instructions. Now, then the next one, we've got our set class role. So everybody has the same format. You pop it in here, and then the kid ticks off that they're here. And my little helpful tool on that, if you're going to use something like this, and maybe you found this too, is because we've put that in OneNote in the collaboration space where the students can access it, they can come on later and change it. So I always take a screenshot at the end of the lesson, put it away somewhere so that I know if they really did attend. And then we have this check for understanding, which is quite useful. So what I like about that is the girls can put little comment in there, and I monitor that during the course of the lesson so that I can see what I need to help them with or what have you. Okay, so if I go back, right, oh, it's always going to keep doing that. Sorry, guys. So we started, and you're probably the same, but anyway, we started with a trial, and the trial was that we, on the last day of term, actually, we had all the kids at home, and for some of the lessons, we were to give them kind of like cover-based lessons. So lessons where the students were independently working, but without any teacher contact or very limited teacher contact. So an activity that they can get on with. And then we had some of the lessons that day were meant to have like some element of teacher interaction. So a mix of independent work with teacher interaction, like, you know, an activity, but maybe you might do a video conference explanation, or you might have some other elements that are interactive there. And then as we've gone on through the process, we've moved to fully interactive lessons using, well, we use Teams, but you can obviously be using whatever your school requires you to use. So I had a little bit of think about this, because I don't know about you, but oftentimes the people who are presenting this sort of PD are people who are on content-based, not necessarily performance, you know, students doing an active creative thing sort of format. And so they're kind of showing you how to throw all this content at kids. And I'm thinking, well, how's that going to work for me? Because as we all know, if we try to do an interactive lesson with kids singing and playing, we've got video lag happening everywhere, and it's just crazy and not possible. So I'm kind of showing you how I've kind of found the best way of working for me. And, you know, hopefully you'll get something from that. So for example, as I said, we've got little kids, and I know we're doing a secondary focus today, but this would be an example. Is it going to click? Okay, this would be an example of one of the things that I've been doing with my year 5s. So with the year 5s, I tend, because it's 30 kids in a room, and you know, you do get the naughty kids still there, I've tended to make it more short activities, and not necessarily that they are on the Teams meeting the whole time with me. So this is me doing a bit of a check-in, so some bit of interactivity. We have learned a new rhythm. So, and actually I did that, had to teach that, make that conscious, because we were just right on the cusp, weren't we? And then I had to actually just do that via video, which was kind of cool actually in the end. So on this particular activity, I've got a practice activity, and this is actually a quiz that I created that they go on to, and there is video stimulus for them to answer the quiz. Then I have been doing a little bit on instruments of the orchestra. So I've been using a ClickView video here, and I've created a worksheet using, you know, the ClickView questions, but I've done it a little bit differently just so that they can get the answers there and then. And then here I had a little bit of a practice clapping activity. I was going to get them to record it, but the thing with OneNote, I don't know if you use OneNote, but the thing with OneNote is really only designed for one class, and I've got 3 running off that. So it can get a bit bogged down if they're putting videos in. And to be fair, if they do that video, I've been trying to find a way that lets me be authentic in my practice without giving me 300 minutes of videos to watch afterwards. Do you know what I mean? So that was a little year 5 one. Now if I come back to my thing, I bet it's going to skip up to the top again. Or it's not going to skip at all. Ah, there we go, back. So a few more ones. So with the year 8s, I've gone with, they're doing an assessment at the moment involving sound trap or composition. So what I've done with the year 8s is I've set them a small task, like a learning activity. Again, it can be video based, or it can be just, you know, a worksheet. And then I start the lesson with them on Teams and on a video conference, and I actually keep the lesson open. They hop off, and then they can come back and ask questions. And the beauty has been that we've been able to share screens. So I've actually set the permissions up that they can share the screen with me, so that I can see what they're actually doing, and then just give them feedback as and when. So that's been with the year 8s. With the year 10s, I've gone more interactive than even with the year 8s. So I've got an example lesson here. So this one was one where I actually pre-recorded, I actually sent them a musicianship sheet, you know, with questions, etc. in it. And then I tried doing the whole playing things live in the classroom, but the lag is just ridiculous. So I couldn't do that in the end. So on this one, I've actually created little videos. I'm hoping they will play. So the idea is that the girl can sit there and she can play this video that I've done, and then she writes down the chord progression there. And I actually have provided on this one an answer sheet, but I can go back in and check afterwards to see how they did. We've just started harmonic minor, so I've created a little video of a little dictation here, and the idea is they wrote their solfa here, and then they can write out the notation. We've got some intervals, and then, you know, again, clicking onto the answer page so that they can go back and see what they're doing. I'm reluctant to play the videos because I'm afraid there might be a big lag, but we'll get onto that, I think, in a minute. Where am I up to? Okay, we go back. And then with the seniors, what I've done with those girls is, because they're currently working on their IA2, so I've got 5 girls who are doing performing and 2 who are doing composition. So I have gone solely with an online format, like a video conference format with them. Now, a word about that, we had to get special permission for that, because originally they said that as a one-on-one, you can't do a one-on-one as a classroom teacher, but you can do that as, you know, the instrumental teacher. So because we're at that pointy end of the assessment, I really need to be able to watch what they're doing, and I really need to be able to help them that way. So we got the special permission to do that. So what I've done with this one is I create a set time that they're going to check in. So those girls can check in on that specific time, and then I record what we're doing and then send them back the video link afterwards so that they can watch it again, and they can, it just helps them with their feedback if they miss something during the session, you know, and that kind of makes it easier. And I've put the link here for the Teams meeting just so that they can quickly get back into the meeting and they're not having to like hunt around trying to find anything. So that's kind of helpful. One of the things that we've also done, which has been particularly helpful, is this check for understanding. So the students can pop on there at the end of the lesson and they'll post a little, oh, hang on, I have one to show you. Okay, I don't have one to show you. They'll post a little, you know, how they found the lesson. And what I like to do is I'll put my words in italics, and I often use these little Bitmoji just for a little bit of fun. I'll post that up, little Bitmojis, to just, you know, give them a little bit of an encouragement of how they've been going, etc. So that's been kind of helpful. All right, we'll head back to this main screen. Going back down there, that's really exciting. Now, some of the things that we've done about monitoring and tracking the student learning is we've created like this task completion tracker. So that there is basically, I'll show you down here. It's just a tick sheet, you know, so that I can monitor whether they've done all the tasks and just keep an eye on the progress there. The other thing is I don't know what format you use. We use OneNote. I like to use the distribution tool in OneNote, but I've had to make sure that the girls don't rename the sheet that I've distributed, because OneNote, as you might know, has a wonderful tool, the class tracker, and you can actually just find the worksheet quickly. So I like to use that one on that. So if if I get back to a few more little bits and pieces, I could maybe show you some of the stuff that we've done. So another tool that we've been using, as I said before, I've got 305 kids that I teach. And me watching 305 kids' videos, even if they're 1 minute, I don't have that many minutes to do that. So particularly for the younger kids, I've been using online quizzes that I've created through forms. So here is an example of one that I did with the year 8s. I've set that up already. And what I did with this one is I've actually given, they've got to actually give the answer here, and it's got a video stimulus. So I've created that video of me playing those 3 melodies, and they have to number the order that I'm doing them in, and they can put the answer in here. And the advantage of doing it this way is that I have been able to look at their responses quickly. So in this particular format, and there are other tools out there, I'm sure, I've been able to I can quickly open in Excel. I think if I click on open in Excel here, it's probably not going to show it on the screen because of being online, but it will let me see straight away what answers the girls gave. And therefore it's a really quick way of me, checking how they're actually going with that sort of thing. So that's been very, very helpful. That's why I like doing it within quiz. Of course, for the older girls, I am actually going onto their OneNotes and going through and checking their answers within there because, they're smaller classes and so on. How have I been doing my videos? Well, I've been creating my videos through Screencast-O-Matic, which is free. Although to have some of the functionality, you do have to pay a small fee if you want to be able to record the computer sounds within itself. If you just want to play it out loud and record it that way, then it's a little bit different. What I like about Screencast-O-Matic is it's been able to give me the option to have my webcam on as well as having the page in OneNote, which has been really good for when I've been doing oral-based activities where I want to actually like sing and hand sign and have the girls see me do that and then them joining in with me. So I have created that using the webcam and using this. Otherwise, what I was doing before was doing it in iMovie, and I was having to do so much editing. It was taking a very, very long time. It was quite ridiculous. So I do it this way. You can see on this particular one, my little head in the corner, while the girl has got the screen there. And then another one that I've been doing has been through iMovie. So for example, in the iMovie one, I was getting a little bit creative. Hopefully this will play. This is when I had to teach the harmonic minor scale. So fingers crossed. Okay, girls, now you're going to be looking at scale. Particularly looking at the harmonic minor scale, what it is, how you do it, and so on. When you start recording, you don't need to hear me sing. But within that video, I was also able to do some stuff with playing the keyboard, showing them. So I think you can hopefully see on the screen now that I was showing them how to play on the keyboard so that they did some practice activities and things like that. So hopefully that's been helpful. And okay, just before I throw open for any sort of questions, I'm just sharing a few things about what's worked best for me. And you know what, we've all been going through this process. I think these video conferencing and things. I have found as I've gone through that it is much better to start with the video conferencing, even with the little girls, just so that I can go through and show them specifically this on the screen, what they should be doing. What I've found being very helpful is to keep the video conference open during the lesson, but I record it. That's really good for, one, your own privacy, but also so that you can play it back to students later if they've missed something that you've been explaining, that they've got the option of seeing that, because it just, you know, you can just share them the link. But keeping the video conference open has meant that I can firefight the technical issues that, and boy, they have been technical issues, but firefighting the issues that the girls have had during the course of the lesson, it's cut down the workflow and the workload, because what I found was I was making these videos and I was coming back and checking things, and I was spending hours on this stuff. But if I'm actually here in the lesson, with the video conference open and the girls can come in and ask questions as and when they've got them, it kind of cuts back a lot on what I have to do later. And then I've said here for reviewing later. I think that link is just me showing you. So some of them, you can see them all here. So for example, here is my sessions with my music extension girls. And I can just share those links with those girls later. It makes it so much easier. And I have found pre-recording video segments have been much beneficial for music, because as we know, there's the NBN is beautiful for some people and not for others. And the connection and so on with the various students, you know, there's nothing like me trying to do a rhythmic dictation and going like that and pausing, you know, and the girls not being able to do the dictation. So that's why I've been doing the videos. And here are my little tuppence worth of helpful hints. With my live stream, I always put in my live stream invite to the girls the protocols, so muting and the video off. And I always use the lobby system so that I can boot them back out, actually, because you get a couple of naughty kids on there and they keep unmuting. So I just boot them back out, and then it's like I sent them out of the room. It's really helpful. But here's a couple of things that I've found. It's very isolating doing it like this. And even right now, here I am and nobody's talking and I'm talking to you, and it's terribly disconcerting. You know, you're not getting that feedback that you would normally get in the classroom. So I actually, in the middle of my live streaming, and maybe we could even do this here, is I will just put out a random question. It's going to sound cacophonous, but the students really need to hear each other, even if it is for a split second. So I might throw in a random question like, what did you have for breakfast this morning? Give me one word, one thing that you had for breakfast this morning. And when I say go, you need to unmute and say that word. So I give them a countdown, and we can try this if you like, if you're ready for a cacophonous noise. What did you have for breakfast this morning? 3, 2, 1, go.
Eggs.
Cornflakes.
Leftovers.
Eggs.
Yeah.
Steak.
And it's just a steak.
Steak. A breakfast steak.
Fantastic. And the students have given the feedback that that's been really, really helpful to them, to just hear each other and feel like we're not in a vacuum. I don't know if you've found that, but that's what I've found. So don't be afraid to let them speak. They need the connection. I've been monitoring the chat because I had a couple of naughty girls kept putting cheeky monkey gifs in there. That was not helpful. I found it helpful to plan my live stream like the lesson, because the live streams that I've done that I haven't done any planning have been very interesting, and turn off the notifications because they just keep popping up and annoying us. And as I kind of said a little bit before, if you're using a text-based feedback, I like to use some emojis or bitmojis, and particularly the little kids like it. And it just makes it a little bit less of a vacuum and less scary in this weird COVID time. And then the other thing I would say, and I'm sure you've got this too, is when you're doing your videos, plan out your video or you will spend hours redoing it. It's just crazy. So that's basically what I've been doing. I don't know if any of that has been helpful for anybody, but there you go. That's a little bit of the world of Kylie Moore at All Hallows.
Thank you so much, Kylie. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to pepper with reactions, put things in the chat. I nearly knocked my ukulele off the table when I did that. I won't do that anymore. But yes, I keep saying to my students, I need signs of life. You cannot sit there muted with your video camera off because I will go insane. It's like talking to nothing all day. So yeah, and so do feel free to put any questions for Kylie in the chat, anything that you want to see more of. I love your OneNote lessons. Like, I think that, and the idea of sort of synchronous but not necessarily video conference lessons are really, that's a really valuable tool, because we can't sit on video cameras all day. Like, people are finding that really exhausting.
Yeah.
But I think that that sort of mixed synchronous mode is super useful.
Yeah. So I can see a question there about getting the girls to put the notation on the staff. All of our students have got a netbook, and they have a stylus, so they write with the stylus and draw on there. We have also got, it's called Music Ed Rhythm Sticks is one of the fonts, and the other font is Music Ed, and they can actually use the QWERTY keyboard, you know, like a Q is a crotchet and so on, that they can do that. But what I've been getting them to do, you know what, I don't know about you, but I just find in this day of tech that the kids are losing the art of actually writing with a pencil. Does anybody else find that? So like, I use OneNote, you know, when we first got OneNote, I found there was a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't want to use it for my lesson. I use OneNote in every lesson. Even before COVID, I would use OneNote in every lesson, because it's really, I find it a really helpful tool for seeing what the kids are doing, and they use their stylus. So that's how I do that. Regarding just one thing on the quizzes that I've set up, if I go back for a second, if I can find this one here, this might maybe help. So for example, in this particular quiz, I didn't have them have to write anything down. They just had to write their answers in by typing, or they had to, for example, select, you know, one of these options, etc. And that's when we're doing the trichords. But today I did one with year 5 where I had a little box, and they had to select which rhythm I had clapped in the box. So using it on forms, they can't really write on forms, but you know, it's a quick and easy way of seeing exactly what they're, you know, just monitoring their progress. Yes, the students can see the timings down. And actually that brings me one other little thing that I've learned. Don't try to fill, if you've got a 40-minute lesson, I have not tried to fill my lesson with 40 minutes worth of activity, because it's just, you know, it's too hard for them then, and it's too stressful for me and too hard for them. So I actually do say this should take you about 6 minutes. This should take you 15 minutes, etc. Because I find that just really helps also with the parent who's monitoring, you know, the work, that the kid's not spending all day accidentally, you know, playing games on musictechteacher.com or something like that. Yeah. Any other questions? I can pop my email address in the thing just in case you think of anything later. I mean, you know, we're all on the learning curve together, but if there's any of the firefighting that I found that you want to know about, then yeah. So yay, that's me done.
Thank you so much.